Hello. So the podcast I thought was very interesting and it had a lot of different points in it, and I think a lot of those points were pretty valid, and I can agree on most, and some of them I can't. But I think that poverty is a pretty big issue that we have right now in the United States, and it's been happening for a while, and I think it's a pretty touchy subject to come up to because it's that point of what's wrong, what's right, how do we fix it, who are they listening to? Just like they were talking about, people talking about, oh well, these policymakers aren't talking to the people, and I think that when people vote for the people they want, and they touch up on subjects like poverty, and they say they want to try to fix it, I think people are putting their faith in policymakers to speak for them on what kind of policies they want to try to create. But I think maybe a more direct solution of talking to communities and finding out what to do, how to combat what, and trying to figure it out is probably the best thing that I can think of. And I can agree with some people staying in poverty and some people get moving out of it, but I think it takes a while. You need the certain circumstances, like I was talking about earlier, that help you get out of that state. And just like in the podcast, there they had a guy from Texas call in about his college experience, and how he was talking about grad school, and that he was using all the money that he used from work, that he got from work, to pay for his rent and his tuition, but couldn't pay for food, so he had to get on food stamps. And social welfare programs like that in that circumstance is something that is the is a great idea to have. It's a great program to have because you know whatever you can do to survive. And honestly, I think that's what a lot of people are doing. They're desperate for that help because they're just trying to survive. Most people don't make enough, and some people don't go to college. They can't get past a certain amount of wage. They can't find a stable job. Sometimes they can. It's like I said, it goes back to the same dire certain circumstances that they touch up on. And I think that the welfare programs, most people can't get them. Most people can. It's kind of like a balance. I think these programs are here to help when needed, and I think they should only be needed when they're desperately needed, and people who desperately need them, not people who are able to get a job but try to get that unemployment on those unemployment benefits, or stay in unemployment and try to look for a job. I think food stamps, people who don't need them that could hold a job and choose not to get a job. I think there's no real solution out of that I can think of, but I think those programs are really good to have, and they touch up on a lot of points that just make sense. And some points, that are causing problems, that that those points are true, and that you can't find a way around them. But most of the time, I don't agree that what they were talking about when they talked about welfare programs of disabilities and disability programs and stuff, that you can't work at all if you want medical. And with disabilities, you kind of need that medical. I know from personal experience, my dad is on disabilities. He's a veteran. He was a Navy SEAL for 21 years, and I can see that every day that he wants to work because he needs something to do, but he can't because of that disability. So if he makes a certain amount, he can't do it. And most of the jobs in the area are kind of good wage, that I have a feeling that if he tried to work, he'd lose his disability and he wouldn't be able to pay. But I see him deal with that all the time. He can't work because he needs that medical. He needs it really bad. And honestly, I think he doesn't get much, though. He can't survive a whole lot from what he's getting from, and he's one of those people that desperately need those social welfare programs because they're helping him survive, but they're not taking care of him. And if he can't work, that he can't work. But and I've seen him. He's pretty broken. So I know that from personal experience. It's that's it's not helping. I think the Medicaid should be, anything medical should be free. I mean, I think that if we had a chance to give people free medical, I think more people would be inclined to go out and work, but still receive those medical benefits that they can get themselves better, or help them survive while working, because he deals with a lot of pain. And honestly, I think I completely disagree that it actually works. The welfare program for disabilities, I don't think it works, because they give you a choice. Don't work, get medical, get everything that you can from disability, or work and lose all of those chances and probably won't be able to have the chance to do it. So I think I don't agree on that point, but on the other stuff that they talked about, I think it's pretty good. That desperation for help is quite a big thing, and I think that people that absolutely need it, that are desperate for it, should get it. If you have a chance to work, go out and work. That's what I think. My idea on social welfare programs throughout the semester, it's changed for the most part, but the progress through the years is amazing. We've come so far with social welfare, and it's come a part of our lives quite a bit, and I think it helps. It does what it needs to do, and there are people out there that need it, that get it, and deserve it. But I think we've become too reliant on it, and I think that the value in it is pretty great, because it provides that safety net for people that either work or don't work. But I think it's become too much of a crutch, though. I think if we figure out what we can do about it, what we can do to try to get rid of some of it, but also make it to where it's available to everybody, not just a select few, because it is available to only a select few. I mean, for example, if you go for Medicaid and you try to sign up for that, there's all these questions talking about jobs and care, and what kind of person you are, what kind of circumstances you're in. I think honestly has done quite a lot, but at the same time, it's become too much of a crutch. And I think just most people are trying to survive, and most of the time they can't. They're always on the brink, and I think that's my view of social welfare. But it's kind of a conflicting view, I know, but that's the view that I have, and it's a neutral view, but it's kind of it gets to that point where you think that some of the stuff that's supposed to help you isn't helping as much. And I think in terms of what I hope to see in this country, I do hope to see that we can get off these social welfare programs and only reserve them for people who absolutely need it, like my dad. Again, it's certain circumstances, and it's those programs that help those people, and I think maybe it should be saved for that, not squandered. Like, I know that I've seen in my own personal experience, I've seen it squandered, and even know people that have used them that don't need them. And if you can work, I think maybe you should work instead of using those reserves when other people can use them. But sometimes, like I said before, it's the circumstances. It's everybody's different, and everybody has different circumstances. But I think I totally agree in the podcast when it was stated that if everything, all the blame stops happening, then we can work together. And I think that's a pretty good, strong point. It's a romanticized point, but I think it's a strong point. And if we just do something to get people working, get those programs into a state where they're absolutely needed, go to people who absolutely need it, who are desperate for it, but people who can work and have the ability to work and have the education and everything like that to work, I think maybe we should pull those programs. But honestly, I think some programs should be free and should just be available to anybody, no matter what circumstances. But I don't deny that these programs work, and they do work, and I think we need them quite a bit because we've become a country that is dependent on it, and I think maybe we should keep experimenting in this direction and try to figure out a solution that works best for our country. So that's all I have for that. It's not the greatest of views, but it's the view that I've come to know the best. But I am completely optimistic about this moving forward, and everything that I learned in class has definitely changed my view a little bit. But it's shed some light on some stuff that I was really curious about, and I think it was a really good class to take and to broaden my mind a little bit. So that's all I got. Thanks, guys.